Helen of Troy, the woman who caused a 10-year war. Hello friends, welcome back to a new video. Can you believe that the beauty of one woman could pit two great nations against each other, cause the death of thousands of warriors, and burn down a great city? In the history of legends, they say this was the face that launched 1,000 ships. Today, we will talk about the story of Helen of Troy, the most famous story of love and war in history. Please, before we start, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel so we can keep bringing you historical and legendary stories. Turn on the bell so you'll be the first to receive our videos. The story starts in ancient Greece. Helen was not an ordinary girl. She was considered the most beautiful woman on earth. It is said she was the daughter of Zeus, the king of the gods. Because of her unmatched beauty, every king and prince in Greece wished to make her their wife. But in the end, Menelaus, the king of Sparta, managed to marry her, and Helen became the queen of Sparta. Everything was normal until the day a handsome and attractive young man named Paris visited the palace of Sparta. Paris was the prince of the city of Troy. Troy was a very wealthy and powerful city, located in what is now Turkey. According to legends, the goddess of love had promised Paris that she would give him the most beautiful woman in the world. When Paris arrived in Sparta and saw Helen, he immediately fell in love with her. Helen also fell into the trap of the young prince's love. Here is where the disaster began. When King Menelaus was away from the palace on a trip, Paris and Helen decided to run away together and headed towards the city of Troy. When the king of Sparta returned and found out his queen had fled with a foreign prince, he was furious. This wasn't just marital betrayal, it was an insult to the honor of all Greece. Menelaus turned to his brother Agamemnon, who was a very powerful and influential king. Agamemnon had long eyed the wealth of Troy, so he saw this as a golden opportunity. He ordered the gathering of the largest army in history at that time. Thousands of warships and the strongest heroes like Achilles and Odysseus were gathered and set sail to Troy solely to bring back Helen and seek revenge. When the Greek army reached the walls of Troy, they demanded Helen be returned. But the king of Troy and Prince Hector refused to hand Helen over because she was now part of their family. Thus, the war began. But this was no ordinary war. The walls of Troy were so high and strong that no army could breach them. The war continued for 10 full years. Imagine 10 years of bloodshed. During this time, most of the heroes were killed. Hector, the brave prince of Troy, was killed by Achilles. Later, Achilles himself was killed by an arrow shot into his heel. Helen watched from the walls and felt guilty, knowing all this slaughter was because of her, but she could do nothing. After 10 years, the Greeks realized they couldn't take Troy by force, so they resorted to a trick, the trick of the wooden horse. The Greeks pretended to retreat and leave, but they left behind a giant wooden horse as a gift for the temples of Troy. The people of Troy happily took the horse into their city and began celebrating as a sign of victory. But what they didn't know was that inside the belly of the horse, a group of the strongest Greek soldiers was hiding. At midnight, when the whole city was asleep, the soldiers came out of the horse and opened the city gates for the Greek army, which had secretly returned. What happened was a disaster. Troy was burned and destroyed. The men were killed, and the women and children were enslaved. Paris, the lover who had taken Helen, was also killed in the war. But the question is, what happened to Helen? After the city was destroyed, Menelaus found Helen. At first, he wanted to kill her for her betrayal, but it is said that when he laid his eyes on her beauty once again, the sword fell from his hand, and he couldn't kill her. Menelaus forgave her and took Helen back to Sparta. Helen lived to see how her beauty caused the destruction of an empire. To this day, historians ask, was Helen guilty or a victim? Did she go willingly or was she kidnapped? This is a secret she took with her to the grave. Here we reach the end of our story. In your opinion, was Helen worth fighting a 10-year war over? Write your opinion in the comments. If you like this story, don't forget to like and send it to your friends. Thank you for watching, and goodbye until the next video.